So, in lieu of what's happening, I feel as though I need to address a few things. Simply because Hawaii is not what it used to be, and by what it used to be, I mean it was a place where you could gather, you could have friends, and you could do dumb stuff like just play loud music, have fun, and all of that. Now, a lot of what's happening now is with my generation and the generation that's coming up. Um, their idea of fun is stealing shit, acting a fool, seeing who's Billy Badass, and it's quite frankly irritating to a point where if I see it happen, especially in on my street, in my neighborhood, and I have a weapon on me, I might just do something really stupid to that person that's acting stupid. Simply because we've already had already two murders in less than a week last month. So in probably a week span, there was already two murders. Um, and in this whole year, crime has skyrocketed to a ridiculous amount. Like I thought that it was small, but then when I joined a group page that highlighted a lot of what's been happening under under public purview outside of social media and outside our own personal daily lives, it kind of is scary. And a lot of the crimes that are being committed are not by older chronics, meaning people that are above the age of 30 smoking ice, meth, and all of that. It's being perpetuated by kids, young adults, probably in between the ages of 13 and 40. And that's my generation. That's within my generation. I'm gonna be 26 in the next 2 weeks, and it's scary. And before I continue, I would like to address somebody that recently was vindicated simply because the person who robbed his home, traumatized his family, took his the love of his life. How I want to first commend him for being so strong. He has the whole state behind him, and to that broad, I would like to tell you that your strength is admirable. For you not to lash out the way you did, but in a sense to for you to reach out and seek help instead of seeking vengeance is hero like. And I would like to tell you that you, sir, are my hero for that. Because there are often times, and I have a lot of friends and family that are my heroes who do that, who instead of seeking vengeance, they seek for help. So that way, justice can take its course. And for that, sir, I do commend you, and I do say thank you for that shining example for my generation. We can never know what you're going through with what's been going on these past couple of days for you, sir. There's no words that can express the sympathy that I have for you. The there's absolutely zero words. Like I have a script, and I don't feel that the script that I'm writing will do justice, other than the fact that to say that we stand by you. We as a state of Hawaii stand by you. If that hasn't already been written or commented on your post and on social media, I feel as though it should be reiterated, restated, and voiced. And at the same time, a few words of encouragement that you may need is that you're a father first and foremost. Aside from being a husband, you're a father first and foremost. You're an uncle first and foremost, and you're the children in your family are looking to you to maintain that sense of normalcy. And I urge you to continue asking for help, because each day that goes by, it's going to get hard. And it's going to get hard for your children too. But I do believe that with the outreach of support that you're receiving, you can be that wall for them. You can be that person that says that, hey, my child, it's going to be all right. You can be there to hold them and tell them that it's going to be all right. At the same time, it's okay to tell them the truth, even though it will haunt them. it'll also make them stronger, and it'll make you stronger because you're in a place where you can accept it. But I'm not saying you should accept it right away. I'm saying you should allow your grief to take its course, but at the same time keep in mind that you are not only a person, but you are a father. And what you've done by reaching out instead of lashing out is an awesome example of how resilient every single resident here in Hawaii, no matter what the age is. You are a sounding example for those people who are struggling to accept help. You are an astounding example of what it is to be strong, even though you've been dealt a blow that will weaken the strongest among us. So to that, sir, I salute you. And to my fellow residents here in Hawaii, I mean, why is it that we need a tragedy to come around, or why is it that a community needs to be severely hit with crime that we all of a sudden feel the need to be unified? Simply because a lot of the people that are doing these crimes are within my generation. And I remember there are a lot of aunties and uncles that I seen growing up that wouldn't tolerate that. And I feel as though we're lax. Like we have in of the United States, I feel one of the worst police forces in the United States of America, simply because the turnover of power is so quick. At the same time, a lot of people, they use that power and they usurp and abuse that power. And I feel as though it leaves the community and its citizens that these police forces are sworn to protect in the lurch and in the dark, and it sucks. To be honest with you, it took me about 2 takes to redo this rant video, because I feel as though me being hype, me being all of that, actually makes the situation worse. And I remember growing up, a lot of the times it takes a peaceful mind and a peaceful voice to hopefully bring light to a serious situation. Because as it is, our lawmakers failed us, point blank. There's been a lot of people that I've seen complaining on social media, from Twitter to Instagram and Facebook, especially Facebook, where people's privacies are being violated. People feel violated because their privacy hasn't been kept. And granted, yes, we as private residences need to put safeguards so that way our privacy does not get violated. But in the off chance that it does, we rely on the people that are in charge of watching our backs. Like, for example, I live in Eva Beach, in a subdivision called Eva Beach by Gentry, which is right across Eva Gentry. It's a part of the Thomas Gentry portfolio. And we have this community watch that patrols around Eva Beach, heavily so in the Gentry portfolio, from Huakale to Eva Beach by Gentry to Hulale, in and around Renton, and in and around that old nursing home at Sing Park from time to time, but mostly in the Gentry area from Halamua to Foodland and Laulani Village, in and around that area. And quite frankly, they're useless pieces. I couldn't even say shit, because shit actually is useful. Basically, they are the lowest of the lowest life forms. They are lower than slaves, even though that's not a really appropriate comparison. They are lower than that, simply because all they do is they cite discrepancies within the residents' agreement to the covenant of the area. They don't really report to HPD our community concerns. They do not really report to HPD about what's bothering us, what we've noticed. And they allow us to police the community, meaning they allow the residents to police the community. Now, granted, that could be effective, but that is not as effective as them doing their damn jobs. Meaning, instead of patrolling from 6 in the morning to say 3 in the afternoon on I would say bi-weekly basis, or not even a bi-weekly, a bi-monthly basis, meaning twice a month. They should do it daily. Now, granted, it's not cost effective, but it actually uses the money that's paid to the association more effectively. Simply because you can stop crime from where it happens if you have an increased police presence. Now, granted, because HPD often says we do not have the resources to do stuff, and quite frankly, a lot of officers that I've talked to and that I've befriended say the same thing. Oftentimes, again, it's on the people who live in the area to police themselves. And while it can be effective, it's not. Why the hell are we paying tax dollars for to have our asses watched when what's the actually rather where's that? What's the point in paying taxes to pay HPD, to pay, or even to pay the association fees, if our homes are not being secured? Why do we have to and I'm pretty sure every parent does this when they drop their kids off to school or see their kids out the door when they're walking to school. Why is it that a lot of parents now, probably, or more than probable, I would rather say, are worried about their kids getting jumped, are worried about their kids being bullied, simply because we don't police each other. We don't police each other. The teachers, everybody doesn't police each other that well. I remember growing up, I was bullied. Speaking of that too, I was bullied. But I had a good support system, not only within my classmates or schoolmates, but with the school staff. But now it's gotten so lax to where every little thing could land a lawsuit, and the school is afraid of that. And I would say, I would dare challenge HPD as well as every gentry association to say that accept the challenge, because that's your damn job, is to accept the challenge. You should not shy away from that challenge. Now, how is this pertaining to community awareness, community empowerment, to avoid tragedies such as what happened in November or this past week? Simple. If the community is empowered to patrol them, police themselves, and to enforce some of the laws that HPD is tasked to enforce, I believe that not only will the burden of resources be lessened on HPD and these useless association community watches, but I feel as though, as not only a taxpayer, I feel as though our communities will be once again even tighter, because there are a lot of close-knit communities, but apparently being close-knit isn't enough to keep us safe, isn't enough to keep the privacy, because a lot of people, they don't want to say anything. Well, I'm here to say that as a taxpayer, as a resident, that you should say something. Don't rely on our lawmakers as well as our community boards to enforce and be our voices, because quite frankly, they are not. While yes, we have a forum called Olelo that shows it, it doesn't really do much, to be honest with you. It doesn't really do anything. I drive around Ever Beach every 2 weeks, and I see minute changes in people's demeanor. Before, everybody's demeanor was so happy. Now there's a stern look on almost every resident's faces, as if something is about to happen that they need to be mentally ready for. It's hard just to strike up a random conversation, because when you strike up a random conversation with somebody, at first they'll look at you so irritated, and then out of politeness they'll do it. Versus when I was growing up, I would see random aunties and uncles or random elders of the community strike up random conversations, and people will be receptive to it. Now people are so tight-lipped that they can't even accept a personal conversation to build that repertoire within the community, to build that close-knitness, to build that closeness within the community. And it sucks. It point blank sucks. I feel as though if each and every community in the state of Hawaii, from Lihue County all the way to Hawaii County, establish that culture within the dichotomy of that is the Hawaii, I feel as though nothing bad or extreme will happen. But that's just the rantings of a concerned citizen. Again, to those who have lost their loved one this past couple of weeks, I just would like to reiterate your show of strength by reaching out to the community instead of lashing out is commendable. And to the father that lost, to the recent widower, I say to you, your show of strength, especially in the midst of what happened to you, more specifically you, sir, is commendable. Not to say that the most recent tragedy, the recent tragedies aren't as commendable. It's just that because he's a father and what he went through, for him immediately stopping what he's doing just to try to be with his family and to reach out even in his heartache is commendable, and it is an example of how strong we are as a people, not only as a subculture here in the state of Hawaii, but as people who live here. So to that, sir, I commend you. And to my fellow residents in the state of Hawaii, whether you live on Oahu, Lihue, Kauai, or Maui, or Hawaii Island, wherever you live in the state of Hawaii, I urge you and implore you to use your voice, to be empowered to do the right thing. Meaning, start a random conversation with a stranger saying, "Hi, how's your day?" Or "Hi, how are you?" Just a simple "Hi, how are you?" with a sincere smile does multitudes for somebody's day. And oftentimes we are afraid to radiate that positivity because we're afraid of being rejected. Sometimes, as I'm often reminded, is that positivity that's being radiated, even though it's in a way faked, is often received really well, because you never know whose day you might impact on a positive note just by saying, "Hey, hello, how are you?" and having that sincere smile. And sometimes they might be thinking of doing something stupid, but if you just say, "Hey, how's your day going?" and you just strike up a random conversation and end that conversation, that brief conversation on a positive note, you never know that may empower them to do the opposite and do something positive, probably pay it forward and help somebody out. And that pretty much ends this rant video.